Hello everyone, welcome back to the KMTRADERS channel. So this is the full market analysis volume 120. So just giving an insight of what we've got up ahead next week and also comparing analysis from last week as well. So we'll start off with gold as we always do. So with gold, again, we were looking at some sell-off opportunities in the week from last time. And I think we are still probably most likely going to be doing the same thing again. But ideally we're getting closer to that area where we could now potentially start to see price rallying up. So I'm not saying that price is definitely going to come into 1800s, but one of the criteria that I was looking for was to see if we could come into 1880 and like break through it. So now that that's happened, I think that there could be a possibility that price could start pushing up higher. And I think we could end up pushing up and breaking these new highs into probably 2100 plus. Excuse me. So with that, what we have to do is just kind of still stay patient, but you know, there is this possibility that price is going to now rally towards the upside. So if we take a look at the RSI, you know, we can see momentum slowing down to the downside. So it is possible that this could be soon where price could be pushing up higher. And we'll take a look at the other US dollar pairs as well, because we should start to see a little few confluences between, you know, majority of the dollar kind of pairs. So like I said, I know I said US dollar pairs a lot, but let's take a look into EU. So you can kind of understand what I'm saying, and just kind of contrast everything. So what we've looked at here was basically price pushing lower and lower. Ideally we were waiting for price to kind of show us some kind of rebounds or push higher, but it never really found that way. So what I'm going to be looking at for now is pretty much price continuing to see if it can still sell off, but I'm just keeping an awareness on this on the fact that price would want to make a reversal towards the upside. So with that, I think we can still kind of keep our eyes peeled for this. So I think last week I did mention that price can sell off, and I think something in the lines of, you know, that is an option if we break this 1.05 level. I think we just have to kind of stay cautious of that, because we can still technically fall a lot lower. Now we've broken some major lows, but I think we just need to still kind of keep an eye out on the way price is normally going, and you know, just review it from there. So if we're still seeing that consistent push lower, I think it's fair that we could just kind of ride that sell-off pressure, but just be also in the back of our minds, if we start to see some strong bullish pressure going up, it could give us an idea that now we're probably starting to see some changes to the upside. So let's take a look at NZD USD. So what we're going to be seeing here is that, you know, price has obviously just been dropping and dropping. What I have been trying to consider is the possibility that price would want to start to, you know, pretty much reverse anytime soon. So again, we're not really trying to call any tops or bottoms here. We just need to wait for price to show us if it's willing to continue to go higher, and if it's willing to do that, it will show us that kind of momentum. And then also, if we start to see some sell-off pressure as well, it can obviously do that as well. So I don't really want to give a strict bias just so far, because we probably are around that kind of intermediate level where we could be at the end of the downtrend and starting the new uptrend. So that's where I feel like we're most likely coming into. So I've got some levels here. So just expand that wide. So 0.65, we're heading into 0.64. We're just going to see how that reacts, and then move on. So if we take a look at AU, so with AU, we're pretty much waiting for price to do something similar, where we could expect price to go, well, it's pretty much one or two ways. Again, we could experience, especially with it being an NFP, we could experience a rocket, excuse me, to the upside, or it could be a possible move towards the downside. Again, we don't really know just yet, but we can start to kind of keep in mind the momentum of where price is going. So as we can see right now, it's pretty much selling off. So we could, you know, keep in mind for sales, but I'm just being aware of anything around the 0.7 region where we could experience some buys. So just putting it out there, we just need to wait and see what we can see for AU and obviously the other USD pairs collectively. So let's try and look into the Japanese pairs. So just going to cross over with the US dollar. So we were looking at pretty much two scenarios that will either get some sort of drop off, and then we will start to see, you know, continuation rally up. So that's what ended up really happening here very nicely, and then it ended up pushing up higher. Again, we was also mindful that there is, you know, divergence forming on the RSI. So, you know, it's all still there and it's still kind of rising and rising. So this is why I'm possibly keeping an eye out for some sell-offs, some sell-off in price, and we just need to wait and see what happens with that. But for me, I don't really want to start looking at buys, mainly because we've just been consistently pushing up. So I think we are in store for a sell very soon. Not entirely sure when, but we're just going to need to see some price action to confidently pursue those sells, and most likely we could experience that during the NFP. So if we take a look at CAD JPY, I was looking at two scenarios here, and there was a sell-off opportunity, you know, midweek, you know, pretty much, and then it kind of recovered. So we're pretty much in like a 50-50 scenario. So I do believe, like I may have mentioned that, you know, we could expect, you know, price to push up and then pull back and then continue up. Not entirely sure if I elaborated on that specifically here, but you know, mainly I was curious to see if we could sell off furthermore, maybe it pull back and then drop off. But either way, you know, we're pretty much in like a 50-50 realm. So we're kind of like within this realm here, in this kind of region, so 99 and 103. So between this level, we have to kind of see if we can punch out of this range and then pretty much see where we can go through this. I feel like we could possibly be looking at for sales, again 50-50, because it's obviously a range bound market. And obviously this is recorded, for me anyway, on a bank holiday, but we just need to kind of see what we can see from both sides of these ranges, and we'll see what we can, you know, find on that one. So 50-50 on CJ, but we'll see what we can get off with EJ. So with this pair, what I'm looking at is some sell-off opportunities. I'm pretty much kind of convinced that we could start to see some sell-offs, but I'm also just going to be potentially mindful of any buying opportunities. But again, this is pretty much going to be the back of my mind. The reason why I'm taking these sells or looking for possible sells is because the way that price just started to decay through the week, through of last week, and it just completely melted lower and lower. So there is this off chance that price can continue to drop off, and again, I'm just going to wait for that. But I'm also at the same time looking at how price has just rapidly pushed up. So the momentum on that is pretty strong. So ideally we need to kind of wait and see. There's no divergence as such on the downside, whereas on the upside there is. So there is a possible move to the downside that I'm just kind of considering, but we'll have to wait on for that one. So with AUD JPY, I think again similarly, I am looking out for some sells. I think the way that price has just dropped, it's just quite, you know, quite a lot. So I think, you know, initially there is a little divergence on the downside, but again there's also divergence on the upside. So we're pretty much again in that 50-50 kind of balance. So if we go like that, have it 95 and then around the 90 or 91 range, we can play within that. And ideally, you know, we could be looking out for some sells, but also some buys as well. But then also this third possibility is that if we miss that top side, you know, we wait for a break and retest and push lower, and that's another scenario that we can run through. But again, mainly we're just going to be probably bouncing between 96 and 90, and just kind of leave it at that. So coming to the last two pairs, so USD Swiss has just been absolutely pushing and pushing and pushing. I personally am waiting for this to drop in some regard, but again, I'm not I'm not going to fight the main trend, because there is actually no reason for me to take a sell yet. I'm just assuming that eventually we just need to wait for that momentum, and I think that could be due to so the NFP could be that starter where it breaks into the new trend, and I think that could give price action the need. Sorry, that could influence the market to take on more sales. So maybe that's how it will unfold. I'm not entirely sure, but that's pretty much where we are. Divergence wise, we are pretty much scaling up and up and up. So we've got a little divergence here, but nothing too crazy here. So it looks okay, but again, I'm just kind of just waiting for it. So we'll see what we can come for that. And then finally, USD CAD. If we just check our divergence, slowly just dropping off there. So there is a slight divergence there, and again, probably waiting for a similar scenario where we're looking for that sell, and then also that possibility of buys again. So that's where I'm at with this week's analysis. Started with obviously being the bank holiday Monday, so just wanted to take a breather on and see how the markets have performed over today. So there wasn't nothing major today, so decided to do the video and start the week off today. So I hope obviously you had a good bank holiday weekend. NFP is up this week, so just be aware of that. And I don't think there's anything much, but I think mainly on the new trends that are starting to form, I think it'll be interesting to see. So we just need to wait for that and see what the outcome of NFP is for this week. So that'll be all, guys. If you did get any value from this video, leave a like, make sure you subscribed, and that'll be all from us. So thank you very much for listening, guys, and we'll see you all next week.